Did you think he was sincere? I'm so grateful that I am alive and I got through this.
And when we see actors crying on camera, like it's kind of what they're paid to do.
I do have some empathy for Kevin Spacey. I can't believe I'm actually saying that.
Hollywood has no moral compass. They would invite him in open arms if they thought he could sell tickets.
Hey fam, welcome back to One and Done. We've got another uncensored video from Piers Morgan. He's put together a panel to discuss the interview he did with Kevin Spacey. Now, a lot of people have been up in arms with this interview. A lot of people saying that it's all an act. This guy's still loaded. He's looking for sympathy and he's looking for a new role. Well, we're about to find out more, but before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's roll that tape.
There's been an unprecedented global reaction to my interview with Kevin Spacey. As you'd expect, with an A-list superstar who's been embroiled in the most serious of scandals, opinion is sharply divided. Many people saw a diminished and humbled man whose stellar career has been wrecked by allegations that were never proven in court. Others simply cannot see past the severity of the claims that were made in the first place. And that's a major part of the debate about Hollywood culture, about cancel culture, about the Me Too movement itself. For further to prosecute in the court of public opinion, the eagerness to believe all people who make allegations seems more important now in our culture than the verdict of an actual court of law. Spacey was disarmingly honest about the fact his behavior has been extremely uncomfortable, but he insisted it wasn't illegal and no one's proven it was. You talk about bad behavior that you committed. What do you mean by that? What's your idea of bad behavior when you look back at what you were doing?
Pushing the boundaries.
In what way? I mean,
being too handsy, touching someone sexually.
Groping people.
In a way that I didn't know at the time they didn't want.
So some of Spacey's past behavior, by his own admission, definitely made people squirm when they watched the interview. Many people found it not just immoral and repugnant, but possibly criminal, what he was admitting to there. Now, he admitted to me that he's talking privately to a significant number of people who feel exactly that as part of his atonement. But the world does change as societal norms change with it. We don't now prosecute motorists who didn't wear seatbelts in the 70s. We look at the details of some of the allegations about Spacey's, we did it at length. Most of them didn't even pass the common sense test. Multiple courts, criminal and civil, have acquitted him on all charges. But his career has been pretty much ended, and the cancellation has financially ruined him, as he emotionally revealed in the interview. Are you facing bankruptcy?
Been a couple of times when I thought I was going to file, but we've managed to sort of dodge it, at least as of today.
How much money do you have?
None.
Do you mind me asking how much you owe?
It's considerable.
Millions?
Many millions, yes. The house itself is many millions.
What are you going to do?
Get back on the horse.
So Kevin Spacey wants to get back on the Hollywood horse to restart his acting career, and he needs to, financially. But does he deserve a second chance? Is it even possible? Well, movie executives, and more importantly, audiences, accept him. Hollywood's moral compass has always been rather warped. Lest we forget the 3-minute Oscars ovation for convicted Roman Polanski on the same night Michael Moore was booed and heckled for criticizing the illegal war in Iraq. The Academy Awards took 40 years to ban Polanski, but he's still feted by Hollywood. Actors still want to be in his movies. But just a few days after Will Smith did the slap that was sent around the world, he was sent to Hollywood obscurity and purdah. But he's now roaring back and bringing box office sales with him. His new movie took over 100 million at the weekend. And maybe that's the key. One thing we can all agree on is that Kevin Spacey is a remarkable actor with no criminal record. The public wrote him off in the Me Too stampede. Maybe the public can decide if they want to pay to see him back on the big screen.
Now this is a weird one. I know of Kevin Spacey. I've seen him in many movies over the years. I can't say I've ever been a big fan of his, but he is renowned and respected as an actor. And it's going to be hard to separate whether he was displaying acting, whether he was auditioning for another role. And I haven't really followed the cases, his case at all. But what I'm interested to see is the response and reaction from Piers's panel, because it's usually quite entertaining.
We're here to discuss Spacey and a whole lot more. Two of YouTube's most ferocious commentators on all things Hollywood, movie reviewer extraordinaire, critical drinker, and pop culture critic Nerdrotic. And joining them, author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens, with his book there. And here in the studio, uncensored regulars, Esther Krakue and alleged comedian James Barr, who knows all about allegations, because I just called him an alleged comedian. All right, James, let me start with you. Let me ask you a blunt question.
Yeah.
Did you believe Kevin Spacey?
I think the worst thing about that interview, if I'm honest, Piers, is the fact that you were, I mean, you're not one of the world's best emoters. It's not what you're famous for. And yet you sort of licked his arse a bit. And listen, I think it was an important interview, but it's obvious that he did a lot wrong. He said that, he admitted that, he said he did some bad stuff, that he was handsy and caressed people. And then you cut back saying, well, you never caressed me, as if to say that victims don't matter. And I find that deeply offensive.
That wasn't obviously what I meant. And you know it wasn't what I meant. No, what I felt was with Spacey is that he has been through 2 trials, one criminal, one civil. And in both cases, after a thorough examination of everything about him, he was found not guilty. And I believe in due process.
But
I don't believe in the court of public opinion
of bad behaviour.
Yeah, but I don't believe in people being convicted by the court of public opinion.
But he's admitted it himself. So he's basically convicted himself by saying... But are you...
All right, so here's my other blunt question. You're a gay man, right? Are you seriously telling me that handsy behaviour is a completely alien concept in the gay community if you're all in bars and having a good time? Be honest.
I think Kevin was coming at it.
Because gay friends of mine have said, absolutely, a lot of guys are handsy with each other. So I don't know. I've not been in gay bars. You tell me.
You've never been in a gay bar. I'll take you, Piers. It's important that we have safe spaces.
I wouldn't mind going, actually.
And I'm
as
not
long as
sure
you keep your hands to yourself.
Kevin's safe space, he is a safe space. I think where we're talking about Kevin Spacey, it's in a workplace. And as a gay man, I have also experienced someone being handsy with me in a workplace. I've experienced bosses.
It wasn't here,
wanting to sleep. It wasn't Kevin Spacey.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't Piers Morgan. I've experienced that. And so I do have some empathy with Kevin's victims, but I do have empathy with Kevin as well. What he's had to go through is difficult, but it is, by his own admission, his fault.
Should he remain cancelled?
I think it's not cancelled. I think it's...
Well, he is. He can't get work.
Well, I mean, if you ruin your reputation by behaving badly, that is going to happen.
But should Hollywood continue to refuse to hire him?
Well, he has ruined his reputation, and if you...
But he's an innocent man in terms of the court of law.
But other people have the right to not work with someone that's ruined their reputation.
But Hollywood will work with Roman Polanski, who's a convicted of a child who then absconded the country, America, to go and live in France to avoid justice. He is still fated by Hollywood. That to me is a rank hypocrisy.
I mean, the Hollywood that he's seeking to go back into now is a different space. It's now more driven by social media and by average members of the public. You can't get away with the same thing that Harvey Weinstein got away with.
But Polanski does get away with it.
Yes,
he is still being employed by Hollywood. Actors will still work with it.
That Hollywood is dying. Look,
sorry, who was that? Ernest,
I said, it's Ernest. I said he was banned he's also banned by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
Yeah, but he's still making movies.
Some permanent damage.
Yeah, but he's making movies and actors are happy to appear with him.
And look, that's the hypocrisy of Hollywood. Ricky Gervais famously always calls them out. Now, I understand why they've gone after Kevin Spacey. Like I said, I haven't really followed this case at all, but Pierce was saying that they never found him guilty of anything. And justice seems to be quite selective too. So he goes down, but Roman Polanski doesn't. Well, he sort of does, but now he's back. I think he made a film with the box office $100 million. Now, if they're dealing with underage people, I think they should all be locked up. But the problem is, you've got to prove it. Now, most people in the court of public opinion think that Kevin Spacey's guilty as hell. And let's face it, not a lot of people have faith in the judicial system.
You know why? Because maybe there's double standards. In my book, I do say not all cancellations are the same. So I want to be very upfront about that this is, cancel culture is not evenly distributed and handled to people. But I think the difference here is that Roman Polanski was not necessarily, groping and being inappropriate with other actors.
He raped a girl. It's a 14-year-old girl.
Agreed. He's wrong, just like R. Kelly.
Wrong.
R. Kelly did.
He was actually convicted of a girl.
No, I said he was wrong. He was criminal. I agree with you.
Now, this really exposes the hypocrisy of Hollywood, because I didn't realize this guy, Roman Polanski, was actually found guilty of the R word. And yet actors are lining up to work for him and with him. Makeup artists, lighting crews. Everyone seems to have their price.
Okay.
He was wrong, right?
Scared me
but
there
what
a
I'm
bit.
saying here is, if you can let me talk, is that he was wrong. He definitely should have been gone. But this is the point I'm trying to make. There is a double standard in Hollywood. But just because there's a double standard that benefits Roman Polanski wrongly, because he should have been gone a long time ago, that doesn't mean that just because one person gets away with doing something inappropriate and get a second pass, that means Kevin Spacey can get a second pass.
But why should Kevin Spacey, all right, why should Kevin Spacey, hang on. Why should Kevin Spacey not get a second pass, given he's been found not guilty both in a criminal trial and in a civil trial where the alleged victim ended up having to pay Kevin Spacey $40,000 because no one believed him?
For starters, he still has another case that is pending, another civil suit that's pending.
Well, he has one of the people who lost the criminal trial taking a civil action against him.
He has another one pending. But outside of that, you don't have to, as a personal workspace, right? This is a free enterprise. In the United States, there is a free enterprise where people can choose work to hire whoever they want to. That is a democracy, right? We get to choose as individuals who we want to work with, who we want to allow in our workspace. If you have a repeated history of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and inappropriate behavior, right?
Again, you are convicting him of crimes he's not been found guilty of. He's never been found guilty of sexual assault.
But he's admitted to doing it in other environments, right? And I think
I think Ernest is right. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think.
Well, hang on, breaking news. Esther's about to agree with you. Ernest.
I think I'm throwing up a little bit in my mouth saying this, but I do think that Ernest has a point. And I think if the issue is the fact that Kevin Spacey can no longer find work, the interview he did with you, Piers, is not going to help. I'm sorry to say this, but this was his Prince Andrew moment. Right?
No, it's not. I think the opposite.
It was. His case should have been, I am an individual member of the public, just like everyone else. If someone was tried for burglary and they were acquitted, they should be able to resume their life. And that is exactly the case he should have argued. By him going into the fact that, yes, I have groped people inappropriately and that I was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and saw young girls but didn't take it to the police or do anything about it. He's blown himself up in the court of public opinion. I didn't need to know all that. I don't want to know your business with the nasty Clintons or the Jeffrey Epsteins or you groping whoever or whatever. So far as I'm concerned, as a member of the public, you have been acquitted on all charges and should resume your career. Alison Pearson made a very good defense of him in The Telegraph, and he should have used his allies, which is a word I find annoying, in the media to argue his case and actually have built that kind of support. Because as far as we are concerned, he is an innocent man. But he didn't do that. He decided to sit on your show and say he groped people and now he's sorry. Boss, who cares?
Even though he's found not guilty in a criminal court, some of the things he disclosed in that interview were questionable. It's like having something or seeing something in your mind and then trying to unsee it. It's going to be very difficult to do. And I think she might be right. It's going to be difficult for him to shake that after this interview.
Okay, let me go to Critical Drinker. Interesting timing of all this, because Will Smith, who was basically sent to Hollywood Purdah, is now back with a massive bang. His new movie, the new Bad Boys movie, has taken $100 million at the box office. What does that tell you about, if anything, about the double standard, perhaps, of, you punch a guy at the Oscars and that is deemed to be less cancelable than being accused of stuff you're then found not guilty of doing in a court of law?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the nature of the accusation against this person. In the case of Will Smith, ultimately, he was a guy who was standing up for his wife who was getting publicly ridiculed. Whatever you might think about Jada or their marriage or whatever, that's none of our business. Ultimately, that's between them. And yeah, he definitely shouldn't have gotten physical. That's not a good thing to do. But you can at least understand that he was a man who was standing up for his wife.
I'm sorry, I'm going to completely disagree with him there. He's an actor, he's a comedian, he's a rapper, he's an entertainer. He's in a room full of entertainers. He knows Chris Rock. Chris Rock throws darts all the time. He's a comedian. He's going to push the boundaries. And the joke Chris Rock said was as tame as hell. Will Smith was unhinged. He lost control. Now, he didn't just lose control on the night. He had lost control of his family and his marriage long before then. In my opinion, it was a built-up frustration, and he unleashed. He should have taken it for what it was. It was a joke. He should have been stoic. He should have pulled Chris Rock aside after the event and spoken to him. And if I was Chris Rock, I would have just said, hey, bro, that's just a joke. But that Jada, don't even get me started. Now, Will Smith used to be one of my favorite actors. I used to love The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and even some of his earlier cheesy raps I used to play around because there wasn't a lot of rap music around to play. So Parents Just Don't Understand, Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble, used to play that stuff. Now I ended up liking Martin much better than The Fresh Prince, but after that slap, or even before that slap, when he did that round table, I lost all respect for him.
There is a big difference between that and a man who's accused of sexual impropriety. With people who are in
Dozens of people.
much less powerful positions than him. And so I think that is a big factor in all of this. I think people are perhaps more willing to forgive Will Smith because they understand at least why he did what he did.
Maybe I didn't make this clear. I'm definitely not comparing what Will Smith did to either of these other two men. There is no comparison. Those other two, if they're both guilty, that is next level.
Nerdrotic, just before we explore this a bit more, how good an actor is Kevin Spacey? I mean, where will he rank, do you think?
Oh, I would easily say he's in the, top 20, top 30 of actors of our generation. I can't say of all time, but of our generation for sure. But what Kevin Spacey faces to get in that conversation, honestly, is fair or not, it's the court of public opinion, right? It's and ultimately that's what Hollywood has to assess. And he's been found not guilty in a couple of cases. That's great, but I caught a bit of your interview. Any talk of getting on that plane with that dude going to that island is going to affect him here.
Well, he wasn't. Well, hang on. He wasn't going to the island. He was going on a charity.
But any connection?
Well, he was going with Bill. Well, hang on. Let's just to be clear. He was going with Bill Clinton to Africa as part of the Clinton Foundation work. It happened to be Jeffrey Epstein's plane, which he found out later. So he wasn't going to the island. He'd never been to the island.
Being on a plane with Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's
and young
plane,
girls, and you said nothing about it. And young girls, and when the whole thing blew up, you said nothing publicly. That's ludicrous.
Yeah. So the public is going to hear the part where he knew Jeffrey Epstein and he went on a plane. They're not going to get past that part. And whether that's fair or not, America is the land of second and third chances. I wouldn't be here talking to you if that wasn't possible. And hell, I love LA Confidential. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. He was great in it. He was great in The Usual Suspects. Doesn't matter how great of an actor he is at this point. It's what's the public going to say? And I'm sure there's a lot of people, like Hollywood has no moral compass. They would invite him in open arms if they thought he could sell tickets. They wouldn't give a crap what he did.
Okay, see, I actually think the interview is going to help him. I might be wrong, but I do think from the reaction I've seen on my Twitter feed, which is a lot, but nearly 9 million followers, there's a lot of comments coming in. I would say more than not are supportive. Let's just see a clip from the interview where he breaks down in tears.
I'm enormously grateful that my focus has shifted because Jack was my mentor and my father figure. I'm so grateful that I am alive and I got through this. Well, it's funny you asked that question. My house is being sold at auction.
Really?
So I have to go back to Baltimore and put all my things in storage.
So there we have it. The first part of a two-part video. Kevin Spacey displaying his emotions. He's in tears because he's lost all of his money. They're about to foreclose his home in Baltimore, but apparently he still has apartment in New York, house in Los Angeles, and another house somewhere else and some other assets. So he might be cash poor, but he's still quite asset rich. And also, I believe he was collecting $500,000 per episode on House of Cards. Now, I know he's paid millions in law fees, and that's definitely had an effect on him. Let me know what you think in the comments. Roman Polanski, Will Smith, and Kevin Spacey. Now, if you want to catch part 2, I'll put a link up here. Otherwise, don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next video.